Oh, welcome back. In the last video, we laid the foundation. And now it's time to take things even further. If you haven't checked the previous part, make sure to check it out for full context. And now it's time to dive back in and keep building on what we started. This is where we left off in our last video. We used adjustable clip to get to this point in the edit page. So now we are going to go and start with a video clip. It's going to be sort of the same process, but let's just use an example here with a video instead of adjustable clip like we did here. Okay, so let's head to a video here. Okay, so this was my intro. Should I use this? So I'm going to use this, my intro here. Let's make this shorter. So let's just say this is the length that we need. The first part, like we mentioned earlier, was adjustable clip. Now let's use a video clip. Now let's head back to the Fusion page. Okay, so like we mentioned previously, we could start with a media in and as usual with the media out. And if I disconnect this, we will not be able to see. If I head back to edit page, we are going to see blank, okay? And it says here, no frame available for media out. If I head to the color page, the same thing. So that's why we need to connect the media in always to the media out. Previously, you might have heard me call this a workflow, but in DaVinci, they actually call it node tree. That's for a reason, is because again, as I described previously, the node can be arranged any kind of way. So let's head back to the adjustable clip where we had different nodes. Okay, it's called node tree because you could literally arrange this like a tree. Okay, this is like a tree with branches. So let's make it look like a tree with branches. And you could take the yellow line like the stem of the tree and the green as the branches. Okay, and you know the branches could also have a stem as well. So that's how you could look at it. So let's try to make it look something like that. So this is why it's called node tree, because it behaves just like the leaves and the branches. Okay. But you could always follow the yellow line to find the main background and the branches that it comes with. Okay, so let's head back to the video clip on the edit page, and now let's head back to Fusion. So I talked about how we could use the effect mask, and we used the effect mask on the background. So we could do the same thing here as well. If I add the effect mask to the background here, it's going to have the similar effect here as well. The rectangle is not affected. If I take it out and click the rectangle, this is the rectangle. And if I plug it to the media in directly, now it's going to cut off every other part and only show the video clip from that rectangle point of view. Okay, so it does similar thing that it did to the background to the video clip as well. If you watch my video, you see me in a circle at the right bottom of the screen, like this right here. Okay, so later on, I'm going to show you guys how I get to do that. But it starts from something like this. Okay, let's take it out. Okay, so that's one of the ways to use rectangular mask. And if I bring the eclipse mask, it does the same thing, but it has a circular shape. Okay, and again, you could bring a polygon node. This is where you could now make any kind of shape. You have to make the shape yourself. So I could come in here, click for one point, click for another point, click for another point, and you could curve it if you want to. So basically, you could make any kind of shape that you want to. That's basically what this is. All right. So now if I connect this, that mask is going to be the exact shape that you created. Okay. That's the polygon. We also have something else that they do as well. Okay, so let's say we are going to apply blur to this video. So let's add blur. Let's use a regular blur to this video. Let's increase the blur size. Okay, so now the video is being blurred. Maybe we don't want the blur to affect the entire screen. So now we could use the effect mask to specify where we want the blur to affect. on the screen. For example, let's connect the rectangular effects on the blur. Now the blur only affects where the rectangle mask X. Okay, so now we could move this anywhere in the on the screen, and we could reduce the size as well, and we could make it anyhow we want to. So let's say we want to block the eyes. Sometimes you do see this on the videos, people blur the eyes or whatever. So let's say you want to do something like that. Okay, so you could reduce this and you could blur some part of the video. And of course, if you're moving around, now that's a different story. Now you have to track it. Okay, so, but we're not gonna get to tracking in this video. Okay, so that's easy enough. Okay, so if I add the eclipse mask on it, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna take a circular shape. So it do have a sharp edge, and if you do not want that sharp edge, head to the inspector and increase the softness. So that way it doesn't have a sharp edge as it once does. Okay. So the more you increase it, the blurrer the edges are gonna be. Okay. So you're gonna increase it based on the amount of soft edge you need. Okay. So that's also how you could use effect in the tree nodes. Before we continue, I'm going to show you how I make a video clip appear on the bottom, something like this, on the bottom right. By the way, it doesn't have to be the bottom right. That's just where I like to place mine. It could be on the top, left, right, depending on how you want it to be. All right. Each scenario requires different setup. Okay. So in our next step, I'm going to show you how, depending on the animation that you want, you require a different setup. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a different setup, how you could do this. All right, so first of all, I do mine with a circular shape. You could also use a rectangle or any kind of shape that you like, but let's just do it how I do it. Okay, so I'm going to put this eclipse mask here. Okay, let's put the soft edge to 0. Okay, and you have to move it to the center. So that way you are in the center of the circle. Sometimes I'm not always in the center, but I'm going to explain that in a later time why I'm not always in the center. But you want to make it in the center. Right now, if I head back to the edit page now, as you can see, it's too big. Okay, so let's select this. Let's head up. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the backgrounds here. I'm going to put it here, below here. All right. So as you can see, this is too big. That's not what I want. I want it to be on the bottom right side. Okay, so let's head back. How are we going to reduce the size? We're not going to reduce the size here because if we do, the only thing that we're doing is we are going to be eliminating the pictures. Okay, so we're not going to reduce the size from here. The node that we are going to introduce here is, you guessed it, transform node. Add transform node. And when you add transform node, now when you reduce it, you are reducing everything to a smaller size. Okay, it's no longer just reducing the area that we covered in the circle. Now we're reducing the entire circle with everything in it intact. Okay, so now we could reduce it this way and use the center here, okay, the X and the Y, or we could simply go to the screen and click on that arrow and just move it, boom, and place it here. Okay, and that's how we get it. Maybe that's too small. We could increase the size if we would like to. And we could also go hit some Y and place it on the top. So if we head back to the edit page, now it looks like that. Okay. Of course, sometimes I do get fancy and I add outline. All right. Let's call it outline. So I do add outline just to make it look a little better. But if you are satisfied with this, you could leave it like that. But of course, I like to make mine a little fancier. And let's do that real quick. By the way, you want to do that before you actually reduce the size and everything like that. That's going to be easier that way. All right. So let's disable the transform. Control P. You know the size of the eclipse. So right now, we could bring down another eclipse and trying to measure the same size, which is not that hard anyway. But why do that? Since we know this right size here, we could simply copy this one and paste it. So that way we have the same size. We don't need to try to measure it. Okay, but the setup is had to be different because this is an outline. So we need a background for color. We're going to attach a background to that eclipse. Let's make it a white outline. Okay, so let's change this to white. So if you push all this value to 1, it's going to be white. And now let's attach this to the node tree, the right word, node tree. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. But this isn't an outline. We are going to try to solve that problem by heading to Eclipse, and we are going to deselect this solid here, and we are going to increase the border width. And voila, now we got an outline. We got a white outline. It's as easy as that. So now let's enable our transform. Boom. And there we go. And that's how I get that result. So this is one way that I do it. Okay. But sometimes based on the animation that I want to do, I might not want to do it this way because I use Eclipse to affect the main background. Sometimes you don't want to affect your main background. Again, based on the animation you want to do. Okay. For example, right now, if I want to use that main background and let's say I want to switch back to the full image, okay, with the way I set it up here, I have to go to the Eclipse now and I have to expand it back and I have to remove everything. I could do it with animation, but I'm not going to do that right now. That's going to make the video a bit longer. I could do that with animation. It's going to take a little time, just a little time, but it's not going to be as efficient if you set up another way. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to set that up, but I'm not going to go into detail and explain everything here. So you also want to take advantage of using a node. All right. All right, so let's disable all of this. Okay. Now let's still keep this. Okay. Let's move this apart. Okay. So instead of placing the effect directly on the main background, we are going to copy the background to another node. And we could do that by using this node here, matte control. Okay. So now we are going to apply matte control. So what this matte control does is it just copied the original version to that node. But with this matte control, it behaves differently. So now I could put the eclipse here now, but here matte control has different use. Okay, so now I'm going to hit option and I'm going to select garbage matte. Like the name suggests, garbage matte is going to take off that area. However, we could invert this. It did the same thing the Eclipse did when I connected it to the main page. All right. So it's the same thing here. Now I could still enable all of this and I get the same result. However, now it gives me the flexibility to do other things now. It gives me the flexibility to do something else with this. For example, let me get a switch node. So I could get a switch node here now. Hold on. Okay, so I could put the switch node in between and I connect the background here. So now I could go to the switch node and I could switch between that and that. Okay, at least you get the idea. It's not really that advanced. You just need to understand how the node tree works. Okay, so this is why I'm actually laying the foundation to get you to know how to arrange this node. Okay, so this is why you don't always want to apply effects directly on the background, sometimes based on the animation you want to do. Okay, now talking about the animation based on the node tree, let's give you another example. Okay, so we're going to remove all of this. Okay, so by the way, what I did there, I selected what I want to remove and I hold shift and drag them out. That will simply take them out quickly. Or you could do it manually and just remove them yourself. Okay, so there are so many tricks here. Instead of building another node tree, we are going to head back to the node tree that we built previously. Okay, so let's head back to this one here. Okay, so let's set it up how we usually have it. we could always rearrange it just based on what we had here. It's easy to follow. We just following the yellow line. The yellow line, it's the background lines, okay? And the green lines are the branches attached to it, okay? Okay, all right. So let's try to make an animation here. We know how to make a simple animation. All right, so let's make a simple animation. Let's use Word. All right, and let's head to transform. Let's head to text. We are going to do an animation example on the size. All right, so with the animation, we're gonna start somewhere and end somewhere. Okay, let's say at the beginning you wanted to start at 0. So at the beginning, we are going to click this icon on size. Now we know the animation have been activated. Okay, so now we are going to head to 0 at the beginning, and we are going to head to where we wanted to end at, let's say frame 20, and we are going to increase the size to whatever it was. I think it was 2151. All right, so let's say we wanted to end at this point. Okay, so we started our animation at 0, and we took the this key indicator to frame 20 and we increase it. So now it has a mark on 20 and it has a mark at 0. Okay, you can't see that because the yellow line is covering it. So now if we play it, boom, that's what's going to happen. You go to spline and adjust it. Okay, and make it a bit smoother. All right, go to this video and check out how to use the spline. All right, so let's not worry about the spline right now. Okay, so that's how to make a basic animation. And if you want to take it out, you could always go to that, to where you have that animation. By the way, once you are at that point where you made that animation, you are going to see that red color at the starting point, and at the ending point, you're going to see that those colors. All right, so you could always take it out again by selecting that the color to remove that animation. Okay, you could also head to the beginning, see that color, and just take it out. All right, so now you no longer have the animation. So that's how to make animation. That's simple. You need a starting point and an ending point. All right, and the computer is going to fill in the gap. Okay, so now let's see how the setup of your node tree determines your animations. So let's bring down the mask. Okay, so as you can see, mask is very important in animations here. Let's see another way we could use the mask to make an animation. I'm going to connect this mask to the text. Wherever you have that blue thing around it indicates that you could actually use marks on those. So I've attached a mask to the text. What that means is if I take out this mask from this text, you're no longer going to see that text. So the text has to be wherever that mask is. So if I put the mask back, now you can see the text. So again, we could make an animation using the rectangle. We are going to start, let's say from 15. We're going to set our first starting point of our animation, and let's head to frame 40. And at frame 40, we're going to take out the mask. Okay. So what's going to happen is if we started playing it, okay, so let's take out those green symbols here and let's play it without those things. Okay, so now let's play it now. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so the reason why it's only affecting the text is because we applied the mask to the text. What if we apply the mask to the merge? Okay, so if I apply the text to the merge, it's going to be basically the same thing, but it's the same thing because of how we set it up. Now, let's set it up in a way that it's going to affect both the text and the background. If we add, let's say, another text to this node tree here, okay, let's say this. Okay, let's put this on top here, and let's play this on animation. Okay, so it's going to affect anything that is attached to this merge. Okay, so if I bring, remember the background is here. This is the background. Okay, this is why we have to rename this stuff so we know what we're doing. So this is the pink background, pink shape. This is the shape of the background. And this is the color of the background. So pink color. Okay. So now that we know that, if I want that effect to also affect the background, what we could do is we could join this here. But if we join this here, it has to be on top so that way the word have to be in front of the background. Because right now, if I put this here, let's take this out here and let's put this here. Now I've disconnected the background. So now you no longer see the background. So if I put it here now, so the text is the background. And as you can see, the text is actually the background because it's the yellow line. And the pink color becomes the foreground. So you could simply switch it. Okay, switch this to the foreground and switch this to the, again, you need the background and switch it to the background. And voila. So if we do that, now I could play that again. And now it's going to affect both the background and the word that we introduce to it and the main text. Okay. So this is what I mean by the arrangement of the nodes determines your animations. All right. When you think about the animation, the first thing you want to do is how do you want to set up the node tree to achieve the animations? Okay. Because that will determine how your animation comes to fruition. We are going to end it right there for now. And I might make another part, but who knows? I've already made a lot of videos on how to do animations and how to use splines. Okay, so with this foundation, I believe you could watch more videos on this channel or this page, and you could add to that on how to do different kind of animations, how to do different kind of setups. Okay. So with that, if you like this video, make sure to smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. All right. Peace.